Hello everyone, welcome to round 2 of Superlights in 2024. We're at the Jeddah Corniche circuit, 41 laps ahead of us today. I'm Alex Foulkes. Joining me in the commentary box is Ed Hunter. We've also got Fabian beside us doing cameras for us. Ed, what are your thoughts about the race today? How do you think it's going to go? Where do you think is going to be challenging for the drivers? And yeah, just give us your thoughts.
Yeah, well, Jeddah Corniche circuit, as we've seen in the other categories, incredibly chaotic, incredibly high speed, plenty of walls either side of the circuit. Surprising amount of runoff areas. The drivers always seem to find them because they use them to essentially cut some of the corners, especially when we get to sort of the middle end of the first sector and then, of course, the middle sector as well. But a little bit beginning of sector 3 through turns 22 and 23 as well is another prime cutting opportunity. But yeah, it's going to come down to straight line speed, essentially. It's going to come down to good racecraft and positioning a car in the right places. And it's good. It's obviously a good hunting ground for our current championship leader, Alex Lahou, because he, of course, won the last time he was here in FS1. Sadly, a race that wasn't broadcast, of course. But that was his only win of last year, of course. So he's already sort of equaled in terms of success last year by getting that win in Melbourne, so he's going to be feeling pretty confident going into this. R2F really on the up and up, and it's the likes of Valet, TTF, and the Gallery 82 that are going to be trying to get one up on them here in Saudi Arabia.
I said it last week in FS2 that the walls here, they don't forgive, and we've known...
No, they don't do anything, they're walls, Alex.
Yeah, exactly. They won't help your car if you go into them, that's for sure. But like you said, Alex Lahou looking incredibly strong heading into this race, looking to sort of bolster his position in the championship, and probably one of his stronger tracks. It seems he was strongest in practice before the broadcast. We're currently 12 minutes to go in qualifying, watching Meshe Hyla for True North. Obviously, these first couple of laps won't mean much, and it will say purple, even though they might not be, but these will be the true bankers, because at the end you probably want to risk it a bit more. But yeah, I think a lot of drivers today are going to be struggling to keep it out of the walls, especially with the chaotic nature of the other series that we've seen so far. It's going to be an interesting race today, especially in terms of battling and choosing where to take your battles as well.
Yeah. We saw, especially in us commentating on FS1, a lot of the teams like KKR that really went for straight line speed with Luca Filing. That ended up really paying off, as long as Luca Filing, of course, could hang on through the corners, which in his case he could. You see Alex Lahou set a 1:30.8 then, so that's really throwing down the gauntlet to see what everyone else can do. It's only 4/10 off of his hot lap from practice there, so Rotor Formula have really been pumping in the laps with both drivers. And Alex really, he's sort of building a sort of positive feedback loop, isn't he, where Melbourne goes well, and so he practices a lot for Jeddah, and then Jeddah's hopefully going to go well as well. So it really feels like Alex Lahou, little by little, as long as he keeps his confidence high and doesn't let any setbacks bother him, then he could really be one of the title challengers this season and one of those sort of main protagonists in that title fight, which is absolutely where he needs to be. As we look at Sikora going 7th fastest. And we were watching Hiller earlier, and Hiller's an interesting one because he got taken out in the first lap at Melbourne. So the Polish driver really looking to get his points on the board. There are a lot of drivers that didn't go very far in Melbourne at all. Basically, 8 drivers that didn't score points in Melbourne, essentially. So their season essentially starts here.
Yeah, and they're looking for redemption, I'm sure, not only against the drivers that sort of wronged them in a way in Melbourne, but they're also going to be looking for sort of a fight back and a good get up after, you know, because the lows are very low, especially with Superlights. So yeah, they just need that good get up. And like you said, Alex Lahou as well, that momentum from round 1 of winning and holding off Joseph Herlock, who's currently 5th in qualifying. So yeah, it's all about momentum at this point, and it seems like Road Formula strong once again so far with these preliminary results. But I think Joseph Herlock probably not too content with where his lap is right now. But we're watching Thomas Kutka heading towards the 3rd and final sector of the circuit, and probably to one of the more challenging corners of the circuit. Turn 22 We saw a lot of drivers getting caught out in the other series here, so I wonder if it's going to be the same once again.
Quite possibly. I keep thinking of poor Luca Gray, Mano Manikandin all coming together there, which is a sort of PTSD flashbacks, I think, for both of them when they think of this circuit. I think Victor Ivanov summed it up best. A great circuit to qualify on, not so good for racing. The whole part was his opinion. But it does lead to plenty of chaos, which I guess is entertaining, at least for us in the commentary box. There's Kutka abandoning a lap, so his teammate Stephen Lexo, who of course team owner of Red Van Racing, he won't be racing today, so Yassi Latinen, who of course won the FS2 race, he's going to be diving in that Red Van seat. Only other big change I can see is Alpha Sierra, so Dominic Kurashavin, his teammate Chris Gitsov, nowhere to be seen, so only one Alpha Sierra taking part tonight.
Yeah, and Yassi Latinen, it's hard to say that he just won Formula Sprint 2, it was dominant. I'm sure he'd be looking, or hoping at least, to replicate that, but his hopes of that sort of seem low at the minute. I think he's going to be about 7 tenths behind in those first 2 sectors, but this is still going to be, if he keeps it sort of on par with Alex Lahu in the final sector, it's probably good enough for P8, P9. And someone else we haven't talked about is Matusz Piszkan, who came up from FS2 from Reading Game, who he drove for last year, and he's doing quite well in P9, almost matching his teammate in high lap, but Latinen P10 after that lap.
Yeah, and Piszkan, wasn't he disconnected in Melbourne as well when he was looking to get some decent points? And I think he somehow got into the race back into the race after being disconnected. So we've got to hope for everyone, for his sake and for everyone else's, that his connection holds a little bit better this time. Dragoon set an impressive lap to go 7th fastest for road racing, by the way, 1:31.4, so only 200ths of a second behind Hiller in 6th then. So there's going to be that really tight group, I think, all fighting essentially for 6th position behind Hiller, Dragoon, Sakura, Piszkan and Latinen, who of course has just gotten himself into the top 10. So he may not have a lot of experience in the Superlights cars, but Latinen, the Yassi Latinen supremacy seems to keep marching on as we look at Jack Mayer, who of course lost his front wing while running 3rd in the closing stages in Melbourne. He'll be looking to have a bit of a cleaner run of things than he did. Remember, Jack Mayer, beginning of the season, said that he wasn't really going to be focusing on racing this year, which of course was a sort of expectation management strategy, I think, from him, given that he's of course reigning FS1 champion. So Jack Mayer, of course, won't put too much pressure on himself, I think, given his experience, and he has competed in Superlights before, finishing top 8 a couple of years ago in the points. But certainly him and Vincent Girt would have been hoping for a few more points on the board in Melbourne.
And Maggio just now is lighting up the timing screens, and he boards that lap, which hit purple 1st sector and personal best in the 2nd sector. So I don't know why he'd have bought that, unless he made a huge mistake in the final corner.
Yeah, he could have just spun up the rear tyres through that final corner, and it would have just hurt his speed all the way down that final start-finish straight. So, yeah, Maggio, we call him the Magic Man, and he loves to put these magic laps together. Of course, he was on pole last time out, wasn't he, before making the wrong tyre choice, really, hoping that it would dry out. And then, unfortunately, it stayed extremely wet, which very much benefited his teammate, Joseph Herlock, and, of course, Alex Lahu. And now Alex currently on pole by 0.2 of a second, so Maggio putting himself under a bit more pressure to seal the deal this time around. As there is Luke Mitchell, who's taken over from Chris Gitsov in the 2nd of the Alpha Sierras, of course, rejoining the team that he won the FS2 Championship with last season, of course. So Mitchell, reigning FS2 champion, currently competing in FS1 for Lunark, where he got a couple of top 6s in the 2 races at Saudi, so certainly not a bad track for Luke Mitchell. So he could potentially do something special here, despite joining quite late to the session.
Yeah, I mean, he's very good at doing one lap and putting it up there. So I'll be very interested to see what he can hook together, whether he's done much qualifying practice for Superlights, or whether he's focused mainly on FS1. But for the most part, everyone on outlaps currently, and there's nothing really interesting to talk about. We're watching Luke Mitchell heading towards the final corner, turn 27, to start his lap. And I'll be interested to see how this goes for him then. Down the main straight, one of the sort of shorter straights on the track, really. DRS is going to be open heading into turn 1. It's a tight left-right. Turn 1 right there, want to hit that apex, and then turn 2 you want to stray away from it, go nice out wide but not too close because there's a wall right there, and that's turn 3 done. Turn 4, this is hard actually for the drivers, and you can see why, almost hitting the inside wall there for Luke Mitchell, and they just have these long strenuous S's which for the most part are going to make your tires call out for some sort of restitution and some sort of help in some ways.
Yep, absolutely. Now into turn 13, the first of our sort of long left-hand sort of hairpins, although the second one is a slightly narrower affair. Now we're going through the sweepers, as there's a little touch with the wall there, I thought, for Luke Mitchell on entry there through 15 and 16, but he straightens it out through 17 and 18. And so, of course, he's not got any laps on the board at all, Luke Mitchell, so as he goes as close over the curb and onto the blue part of the runoff as he can, now into 22 and 23. He gets it hooked up very, very nicely, actually, maximizes his exit. But Mitchell, as long as he can get a decent lap on the board here, that gives him something to build off in the last 3 minutes or so. So there would be time to reset back to the pits. Both the top two, by the way, second purple sectors. Maggio, purple in the first sector. Lehu, though, responds by being purple in sector 2. So nip and tuck between probably the two fastest men in Superlights.
And it looks like Lehu aborted his lap, but Maggio hasn't, and he's gone to first position with a 30.7. And it's going to be a race back to the pit lane unless Maggio is doing another lap on these tyres, which I suspect he won't. And did we see where Luke Mitchell ended up? P16 with Kurashavin, his teammate, going up to P10.
Yeah, good effort by Kurashavin. It's Hiller who's been very impressive for True North, by the way. Just out qualifying Sandeep Singh, and only a small fraction of a second behind Joseph Herlock. It's behind Jack Mayer. It's incredibly tight. All of them within Mayer through to Singh. It's all less than a tenth of a second between all four of them, essentially. So that really shows you how narrow the margins are at the moment and the level at the very top here in Superlights. But yeah, Maggio really hooking the lap together. That was that first sector. He really built upon it throughout the whole lap, and he's in a good vein of form, especially when it comes to qualifying at the moment. Of course, he recently won, not just in here. I think he's yet to win in GPV beyond FS2, I think, but he has had some impressive results, of course, like we said, that pole position last time out, and he's done pretty well at the pro level in other championships as well, like FSR. So great to see Maggio carrying through that form, of course, because he just seems to... he did seem like his confidence at the end of last year was a little bit down in places, but he's really worked hard to build it back up again. And this is such a momentum-heavy circuit, so you need to start the lap well to finish it well, essentially.
Yeah, and you're so dependent, especially on Sector 1, where you can gain and lose the most time of any part in the circuit, apart from Sector 2, where you might hit the inside at turn 22, sorry, Sector 3. But other than that, there's Sector 1, you need to get it absolutely perfect if you want a good pole lap, and getting a good Sector 1 is really gonna make you just start feeling the car. Especially, it's not just physical momentum, it's mental momentum too, and hopefully Lehu is hoping to get some of that. Maggio not able to do another lap, he's going to be in the pit lane, but we're going to watch Lehu's attempt to get back as Sandeep Singh goes up to P3.
Yeah, 31.0, but mental momentum. Try saying that twice as fast, Alex. But we have also seen a comment in the chat from Loic Moynier, a teammate, former teammate of Alex Lehu, says, I told Lehu I'd offer him pizza if he wins. So some extra motivation if it were needed for the Frenchman and championship leader at the moment to ace this qualifying lap. But Maggio has laid down the markers. It's personal best in the first sector for Alex. Let's see. We need to think of a nickname for Alex Lehu. Of course, we can't call him Mr. Crash or anything like that because he disproved that quite comprehensively in torrential rain conditions in Melbourne. So we'll have to think of a more flattering nickname. As purple, that's a fantastic middle sector as he goes almost over off track there through turns 22 and 23. Then checkered flag out. He's just got to nail this final sector, and Lehu, it's going to be very, very tight with Maggio there.
Yeah, and that 2 temps That's a massive gain on Maggio, who's only able to do a 0.8.
Nearly 3 temps, actually.
Yeah, who's into the 0.5. So this is going to be an amazing lap if he's got a good final sector. Let's see what it is as he crosses the line. It's good enough. Full pole of 30.6 for Alex Lahu. And Maggio 1.7 behind, but that's a huge gap to Sandeep Singh in P3. But this is Joseph Herlock, Maggio's teammate, looking to get up there. He's good in Sector 1, barely behind Lahu, but that was slidey through turn 22 on the exit across the curbs. He's going to be happy for him if he's going to be able to continue this momentum, though, heading into turn 27. Let's see where he will end up. But I don't think anyone else really...
he messed up that final corner.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
So I think that's it for Joseph Herlock, because he was down in the middle sector, had to push it at the final corner, and the rears just cried enough, didn't they? And the valet is consigned to 5th position behind Jack Mayer, but only by 11 thousandths of a second.
Yeah, and what I think the difference between Lahu and Maggio is running a very high downforce setup. I think that's where he's gaining the time in Sector 1, but Road to Formula, 321 and 320 on the straights, and Jan Sakura aborting his lap. So that's going to be P8 for him unless someone challenges him from behind. And is Mayer
Mr. Zhang got very close though to Jan. A 7 thousandths of a second behind, but he stays in 9th, unfortunately. 131.453 for him. Dragoon does jump Sakura though and gets the 7th.
And I don't think we have anyone else out on qualifying laps, so that is the qualifying order set. For row 1, it's going to be Alex Lahu and Alessandro Maggio, followed by Lahu's teammate Sandeep Singh in P3. Jack Mayer, the first of the Sparks, in P4. Joseph Herlock for Valet, coming out behind Maggio in P5. Messier Hyla for True North in P6, and Jan Dragoon beating Jan Sakura at the end there for Drag Racing. Jan Sakura in P8 and Matusz Pishkan in P9. And then the second Spark Racing, Vincent Gut into P10. In P11, Dominic Kurshav, an impressive showing for Alpha Sierra in P11. Alexander Ragoza behind him in Gallery 82, followed by Davide Zanini for the TTF Racing team. Maxime Bolio in the Fusion Racing, P14, with Jase Lattinen, the Formula Sprint 2 winner in P15. David Wasserman, P16, followed by Luke Mitchell, Tom van der Voort, Remco de Joux, and Florian Geyer, 17th through 19th, respectively. Behind them, it's Mikhail Galka for Gallery 82, Perseus Miram, Thomas Kutka, and Cedric Bill, with 23 cars for our grid here in Superlights. But I believe we are going to be taking a break during the warm-up, so we will see you soon. Okay, everyone, it's the end of warm-up. Currently, we've got 40 seconds to go. We're just waiting for the last few cars to do their, I think, from what we can tell from the timing screens, everyone's going for a bit of a fast lap for fun at the end of warm-up here. But also they're testing the traffic, and it seems like it's very close between Sandeep Singh and I don't know who that was. But yep, it's me, Alex Foulkes, and Ed Hunter in the commentary box. Ed, after qualifying, what's your thoughts on the race now? You said that Lahu probably looking to capitalize on his performance in race 1. Are you still of that opinion heading into round 2?
I don't think it's a very controversial opinion, is it? That he'd want to do well after doing well first round. But yeah, Alex, of course, taking his first pole position in Superlights, let's not forget. So first win, followed by first pole position. So he's going from strength to strength. Oh no, it was Maggio who set pole, wasn't it? Stole it off of him for a very, very brief amount of time before Lahu redoubled his efforts, of course. So it was very, very close in the end, but Alex, I think, just pulling it out the bag exactly when he needed to. So it'd be interesting to see, because we didn't really get to see Lahu versus Maggio. Like I said, we'll have to think of a nickname for Lahu. I think Lloyd Moynier was suggesting Lahu the Menace, but I don't know. I feel like maybe that it doesn't quite suit him. We need to think of something more more phenomenal, more ethereal, I was thinking, because Lahu always strikes me as such a force of nature when he drives, that he's sort of, when he's on it, he's just absolutely unstoppable. So maybe the unstoppable Lahu will go for. But yeah, we didn't really see Lahu versus Maggio because of the different tyre choices in Melbourne, so we might actually get our first taste of that this season, and I have a feeling that's going to be one of the big stories of Superlights in 2024. It's those two titans of just the Magic Man versus the speedy Frenchman, the unstoppable Frenchman.
Absolutely, and it seems like Maggio is actually able to be closer to Lahu than the rest of the field. But to quote Ross McIntyre, there's going to be a Frenchman sweating in his bedroom, and not for the reason you might think. Going
I'd
ahead
love to know what the reason was he did think, but anyway. Sergio Fletcher, Maggio's teammate from FSR Pro Championship, says Maggio washed. So he gets beaten narrowly in one qualifying session. Apparently that's it for Alessandro Maggio. His teammates completely lost faith in him. But Sergio also says Lahu versus Maggio is better than Hamilton versus Verstappen. Okay, let's hope it seems to have had less contact between the two so far. Admittedly, they've only really done one race together.
There's still monsters to go this season. So
That's true.
anyway, the formation lap is go, and Lahu is taking us away for the first time in his career in Superlights. He will be leading the pack away. Maggio behind him. And yeah, let's go through the start grid. On row 1, Alex Lahu and Alessandro Maggio line up next to each other. Hopefully an interesting fight as we head into round 2. But Sandeep Singh and Jack Mayer heading row 4. Joseph Herlock, Messier Hyla for row 5, and Jan Dragoon and Jan Zakora on row 4, sorry. Row 5, Matusz Pishkan and Vincent Gut, with row 6 being Dominic Korshavin and Alexander Ragoza. Forward then is Davide Zanini and Maxime Beaulieu, and on row 8 actually this time is Yasser Lattinen and David Wasserman for Redfern and Chaos respectively. Row 9, Luke Mitchell and Tom van der Voort, and followed in row 10, Remco de Joux and Florian Gehr. Row 11 is Mikhail Galka and Perseus Miram, and the final row, row 12, Thomas Kutka and Cedric Bill. So we're just waiting for Lahu to get to the grid, navigating the last 5 corners of the track. I would argue they're not exactly corners, it's more of a squiggly straight line. But
You'd certainly don't have to get the trouble there, do you, Alex?
No. So that's the interesting thing. A corner is defined as a change in gradient of the circuit, and sometimes I wish that wasn't the case. I wish it was any corner that the car has to brake for, really. But yeah, Lahu heading towards the grid now. He'll be warming his brakes and hoping for the best as we wait for everyone to line up. I wonder what is in his head right now.
Probably stay calm, don't panic, because that's always the instruction that I think Alex Lahu is always being told by everyone at Road to Formula. He's done so much practice now. He knows he's got that lower downforce setup than Alessandro Maggio behind him. So if he can stay ahead, even if Maggio gets through here, he might be able to slipstream his way back past him. But yeah, as you say, certainly a lot of pressure on him. He is the championship leader now. Everyone is looking for any little slip up that they can take advantage behind him. So he's got to have his wits about him. His lights on.
We're away in 2024. It's a good start for Alex Lahu. Maggio slotting in behind him, and Sandeep Singh coming under pressure from Jack Mayer. It's a bad turn one for Maggio, and that's Sandeep Singh alongside contact between Maggio and Singh. But Mayer now, because of that contact alongside Singh, heading into turn 4, and he's going to make the move. And Sandeep Singh down into turn 4, but it's a great lead for Alex Lahu as we head into turn 6 and 7. Maggio behind him, followed by Mayer and Singh, and that's not the start that Singh will have wanted. But Herlock also keeping 5th, and a lot of action going on behind. But Sakura up into P6 as well from P8, and that's a great start for him. And it's just a lot of battling, but not much position changes happening. But this is Jan Sakura up from P8, and he's going to be very happy with that. And we'll go back to the quote from earlier, mental momentum. But there's a good first lap actually for Lahu, a second already on Maggio, but Mayer is actually going to be trying to fight Maggio here, I think, very soon.
Yeah, as we see again, Lahu going, just travelling over the curb a little bit at 22 and 23. So it was a good start from Maggio off the line. Couldn't quite get alongside up the inside of Lahu, and then found himself at turn 2, second part of the chicane, just assaulted by Sandeep Singh. Singh the big loser though, because as you say, being delayed by that, it's so easy to get sucked into that sort of move at that first chicane essentially, and that created the opportunity for Jack Mayer, who breezed around the outside. And now Jack Mayer will know that Alessandro Maggio, while very quick through the corners, not so quick for a straight line, as we see Sakura under attack from Hiller. Hiller trying to fight back after a difficult first lap, gets the inside through turn 2 and retakes 6th position.
Yeah, clean move through turn 1, not something we've seen a lot of in the other series, and there's position changes for Luke Mitchell and Yasser Lattinen further back. But I imagine right now everyone's just going to be slotting into place and probably not trying to fight too much. But we're seeing the setup differences already taking into play as a highlight now on the back of Joseph Herlock, and he'll be fighting very soon for his position, while he's also focusing on catching Sandeep Singh ahead.
Yeah, and remember Sandeep's got that very, very similar setup to Lahu, hasn't he? So he might be a big threat at this phase to Jack Mayer if he can get things under control. Joseph Herlock, meanwhile, starting to be dropped, so that suggests both valets running with fairly high wings. And while that could give them good tyre life, because they won't have to push their tyres so hard through the corners to make the corners, unlike those running much lower wings, who'll be very speedy down the straights, but then have to do all the hard work through the corners to stay on the road, essentially, and not in the wall. As we see yellow flag in Sector 3, and that's Van der Voort, I think, who's in real trouble. He's spun off in one of the runoff areas. I think that must be 6, 7, and 8. 22, sorry.
Yep, and not the start to a race that anyone's hoping for, but Lahu, best time not means much on lap 2, 35.5, and this is the battle for Jan Dragoon and Jan Sakura for P7, trying to do the same thing that Hyla did just a lap ago, but sort of shown the door, really. But good now, looking to capitalize on that sort of, I guess, misjudged attack. But that's a train behind Jan Dragoon now forming, and 2 seconds between those 5 cars.
Yeah, it's certainly very, very tightly packed then. And Vincent, who of course was 8th last time out in Melbourne, looking at the moment looking to at least replicate that, but surely he would love to go past the two Jans of Sakura and Dragoon if there's an opportunity. But we've got Ragozza, who, remember, was it lap 2 or 3 in Melbourne? Ragozza hit the wall, lost his front wing, and then fought his way back through the order to get into 6th place, I think, in the end, right behind Maggio, wasn't it, in the final order. So Ragozza looking for a cleaner run this time out, and he's got Beaulieu, who's having a much better time this time out for Fusion Racing for close company. And Beaulieu himself has got Kurashavin, who of course had a very, very good race to P7. As we see Maggio being overtaken by Jack Mayer.
Maggio made a mistake, he must have.
Ooh, big mistake.
Look
how much he's lost there. So I think he's got that 22-23 chicane wrong.
He must have, because that's going to hurt a lot. He was on the back of Lahu, and now he's down in P5, and he's also got Messier Heiler on the back of him, and this is going to be probably a very easy move heading into turn 1 with the assistance of the DRS, both of them wide open, but on the outside into turn 1, I imagine Maggio probably won't fight that too much, but that's going to be heart-wrenching, especially at the start of the race. He's just got his head down now and progress through it. It's just, yeah, it's a mistake that you don't want to make early on in the race, but fortunately he's got a bit of a cushion behind him as we have position changes.
I'd love to see a replay, because I wasn't sure if Jack Mayer was closing on him inch by inch, but I didn't think he was quite close enough for a move. So whether Maggio's gone off on his own or been made contact with Jack Mayer, we don't really know. So I guess we'll have to find out after the race, because I'm pretty sure there's no replays here from our broadcast director. So not for this one. So we'll just have to imagine what happened, as you say, Maggio imagining a better race, unfortunately, because that's all he can do at this phase. But on those soft, pretty much all the top 14 on soft tyres, only David Wasserman doing something different in the chaos. I think he's on the, is that the mediums or the hards he's plonked for, to use a very technical term. But there's Kurashavin then right at the back of this DRS train behind Beaulieu, trying to get into the top 10, both of them in 11th and 12th respectively, as Kurashavin just weaves in the draft of the Fusion Racing car in front of him.
Yeah, and you were mentioning David Wasserman. I think he started outside of the tyre sort of choice range, really.
That's right, yes. So he was 16th or 17th, wasn't he, on the grid?
So yeah, barely outside of it, but he seems to have gone for a separate strategy to everyone else. Maybe that'll pay off later on in the race.
Ragozza under attack.
Yeah, this is Bolio on the outside of Ragozza, and this seems to be the overtaking spot of choice for these drivers, and it's clean, but that's contact for
Kurashavin. I thought he was going to spin Ragozza around there, but he just about avoided disaster there. So Dominic gets on the brakes, and the Ukrainian free to try again. Then, as we see behind, that must be Zanini holding off Bichkan, who's not had a great first couple of laps of the race, because he's dropped down to 14th position behind the TTF in front of him. And then behind him is Wasserman, of course, who's going to be able to run much longer in this opening stint in the red and white chaos car, of course. So David Wasserman looking to cause chaos as usual, or take advantage of other people's chaos more accurately here in the sort of midnight at Saudi Arabia. But yeah, Alex Lahu, he's got 2-second gap to Jack Mayer now. Mayer was a 10th quicker the previous lap then, but with Maggio sort of down in 6th, that's the one of the main threats to him, has essentially found himself in difficulties. As look at this, Joseph Herlock has been overtaken by Sandeep Singh down the straights here, so that RTF, that straight line speed, playing to their advantage, because look at this, Joseph Herlock's going to try and fight back with the DRS, but I don't think he's going to be able to get close enough, Alex.
Yeah, it's just not powerful enough for him, but going into turn 1, he probably will have the gap unless he gets a bad exit. And I think what happened there actually is Sandeep Singh went a bit too deep into turn 22, but without the DRS, he's barely going to be able to hold on to Herlock here. And yeah, it's quite wise to just let him pass. But yeah, and I think Pasius Miran made a mistake, or at least Tom Vandervoort is battling him for P23 further back, but this is the battle for P4. Realistically, this is the battle for P3, as Sandeep Singh, after getting overtaken by Herlock, is now under threat by Heiler.
Yeah, interestingly, Jack Mayer gained another 2 tenths on Alex Lahu then. So have Spark been keeping something in reserve, as Jack Mayer got a trick up his sleeve? Remember, he fought Alex Lahu quite a number of times in FS1 last season, of course, and Alex Lahou, as I said in my sort of season preview, made a couple of mistakes while battling for top positions with the likes of Jack Mayer. So he'll want to banish those memories from his mind. He's a new man in Superlights, of course. But Jack Mayer, he's certainly got something to prove after making a big high-profile gaffe of his own in the season opener. So two leaders could be inching closer towards one another unless Alex Lahou starts to pull away down these straights.
I mean, you didn't just make a statement about Lahou. That was a violation, really, of Lahou's human rights, really. But Koroshavin on the back of Bolio further back. Hopefully we can cut to that, because that's a close battle.
Don't talk about human rights violations when we're in Saudi Arabia. You know where we are, Alex. Look at this, Koroshavin just starting to fight with Bolio for 10th position now, and all struggling to get on the power as well.
Herlock passed this lap, so he's going to be chasing down Mayer for P2 while also trying to hold off Singh close behind. And this is Koroshavin going for the move he couldn't in turn 27, but not fought too hard by Bolly into turn 3.
Tom Stevens says, calm down, Ed, go back to Phantom Forces. I'm not sure what that's in reference to. Maybe me having a massive throat problem. Maybe he's just saying, stop being ill, you useless old nothing. But is what I imagine Tom Stevens is trying to say to me in the most politest of terms. But anyway, look at this. Fastest lap of the race from Joseph Herlock, interestingly. As he gets DRS, swapping positions with Sandeep Singh, it seems, every other lap. The gap 8/10 between them, and it's working for Herlock so far. He's only 1.7 behind Jack Mayer, so it's not inconceivable that we could have a three-way fight for the win here, especially if that valet can make these slots go a bit longer, Alex.
I mean, Lahou, with the strong pace he had at the start of the race, it's sort of not showing really anymore, is it? He's keeping it rather consistent.
It's steady, although the previous lap he was 2 tenths quicker than Jack Mayer, so he has actually started to stabilise a little bit here.
Yeah, but that's all you got to do. You just got to get the gap and then you got to hold it. That really sounds like something.
Make it sound so easy.
Yeah, that sounds like something you'd hear out of Drive to Survive, really. But
yeah, Mr. Will Buxton, with pearls of wisdom.
To get a good qualifying, he needs to qualify first, and Lahou has done that. Now he just has to capitalize on it in the race. But this is Lahou's teammate, and he's still looking for Herlock. Whether he's going to get there or not, only time will tell. There's still 33 laps to go. My mental maths is not good today.
If he's looking for Herlock, I say you don't need Sherlock Holmes to find him. He's the big yellow thing not too far in front of him. But it's getting back past him that I think's proving the tougher nut to crack, because you can see Sandeep is really struggling to hang on with him through some of the more heavier braking zones and sort of tighter corners on this track. And there aren't too many, but they are there. And some of the higher speed stuff, the longer constant radius corners, Sandeep is just washing out that little bit wider, as you can see there. So he's having to take bigger risks, really, to keep within DRS of the valley in front of him. And the problem is, if he loses DRS, then he could be under threat from Hiller, who's done actually a really cracking job just to keep a watching brief on the pair of them. And he's kept Maggio very much at arm's length as well.
Yeah, but the issue we saw in Australia, and we're seeing here again, is that the dirty air makes it almost impossible, unless the car in front of you makes a mistake, to catch up to the car in front. But fortunately, this final section, you've got 3 DRS zones. As long as you're close enough, you have an easily fighting chance heading into turn 1, and that's Mayer that we just saw pass by us. But Singh, yeah, the gap, it's not really closing for him, and it probably won't if he doesn't get past him into turn 1, or at least before the S's. But he's going to go for it. I think down the inside, no,
he backed out of that one quite deliberately, didn't he? And I've just got a message from Tom Stevens that he wasn't talking to me at all in the chat. He was talking to another guy called Edward, which of course is Edward Swarbrick, who's been commenting in the chat since the beginning. So a little bit of confusion there, but that was on me for not looking at the context. I just saw him insulting a guy called Edward and assumed it was me, which is always a bad idea, because apparently, just like there's more than one Alex in the world, Alex, one Alex leading the race, one Alex leading the commentary box, there's more than one Edward.
Yeah, but we've also got Alex Maggio, if you want to shorthand
Alessandro.
Name.
Yes.
Yeah, but Singh sort of, he's got relief from Hiller behind, and now he can focus mainly on Herlock. But like I said, the effects of Jeddah. You can really see them now, 8 tenths behind Hellock. He was 4 at the start of this lap, and through sector 1 probably didn't help him too much. But yeah, you're going to rely a lot on the drivers around you making mistakes. And you can really see, based on how much Joseph Hellock gained through turn 22, but how much Singh is gaining on the straights, the setup differences between the two of them. Hellock probably running much higher wings than Singh is, but this might be another chance for Singh heading down the main straight. It's 4 temps before the DRS zone. Similar gap to last lap, but if it's a repeat of last lap, he's not going to try it once again, just filling up those mirrors and yeah, biding his time to get past Hellock, but I think he wants to get it done sooner than later if Maya keeps on getting away from Hellock like he is. 2.6 seconds gap between Maya and Hellock, and Lahu. That gap is slowly being edged away by Maya at the front.
Yeah, it was interesting because 2 laps ago, Lahu had a really bad lap, 36.9, and Maya was able to get within 1.5 seconds, and then Lahu went a second faster this time around, so the gap now 1.5 seconds, but as you say, the trend is Maya just keeps closing, keeps chipping away, keeps showing that class from FS1 last year, and Lahu, again, he's just got to hold his nerve here in this stint and make sure he doesn't make any major mistakes, because if he has another bad lap, then potentially he could be making a race of this when he really would have wanted to break away from Jack Mayer and everyone else for that matter.
But yeah, Mayer, he doesn't have much pressure behind him. It's 4 seconds now, well, 3 seconds.
Herlock is holding Singh up, isn't he?
Yeah, and that's why I said I think Singh just really wants to get past Herlock if he wants any chance of getting that P2 position, but he's probably going to get it done this time around. This is the closest he's been through turn 27 to Joseph Herlock, and he's going to have the DRS down the mid straight with that lower downforce setup. This should be a relatively easy move. You can see the kilometers are now a deficit, and 25 kilometers an hour faster down the straight, and that's an easy move for Singh as Maggio and Sakura come into the pit lane.
Yeah, Dominic Kurashavan as well. So Maggio, after making that mistake, burning through the soft tyres, he's going to have to try and undercut to regain positions here. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out for him. Gets out just ahead of the TTF behind him then. So this is a risky play for the valet driver, and as he just exits the pits, luckily they don't seem to be collected by the traffic that I spoke too soon. There's a Drake going round, and it's Tom van der Voort. It continues a difficult start to the race, and in fact loses his front wing.
Yeah, that's truly unfortunate.
Sakura, I think, hit him there.
Wrong place at the wrong time and just got caught by that pit entry, which in reality is really dangerous to have it right there, but being shown why, and he's going to have to deal with the consequences for a full lap, and you really do have to feel bad for Tom van der Voort going from worse to even worse. And what we didn't notice is Florian Gaia going out. I don't know when that happened.
It was about a lap or two ago. Yeah, so Florian, unfortunately for Chaos, continuing a somewhat difficult start to the season for him. But yeah, Florian, of course, battling through that health condition. It's always great to see him on the grid nonetheless, and I'm sure he'll be back for next round in Japan and back to his best. He did get 15th, the final point, didn't he, last time out in Melbourne. So he's certainly shown flashes, the former Super League winner, of what he can do. And yeah, always great to see all the support for Florian, because he's been such a mainstay of GPV for many years.
Yeah, and we have a replay.
Okay, interesting. Looks like Galco in trouble as we see more pit stop. Bulio and Zanini coming into the pits.
I don't know what this replay is of. Yeah, Tom van der Voort. So through turn 1. I imagine he's just
Sakura coming out alongside him.
Yeah.
Oh, such light contact as well, but it ended up with him spinning into the wall. So to me, that's a racing incident. I don't think there's anything. Sakura couldn't have really moved much more to the outside without going completely off track there.
Yeah, wrong place, wrong time for Tom there, and really unfortunate, really. There's nothing you can do about that. It's just getting caught by a sort of woefully placed pit. And this is good. I imagine damaged. And
lost his front wing already, yeah.
Yeah. just didn't want to continue. Which I probably can't blame him that much.
Yeah, interesting as we just drove straight into the garage there. And yeah, it looks like Tom van der Voort has just put on a new front wing and continued. But it was interesting that Sakura pit there because he was in a battle with Vincent Gutt, who was starting to trade positions with him. So he's picked to sort of get out of that battle. And now Vincent Gutt has got Jan Dragoon all over the back of him, setting personal best laps of the race, 1:36.2s behind. So that's a good little battle there, that fight there. As we look at Jan Dragoon now, and into the pits comes Hiller from what was 5th position then. So important stop for True North Motorsport, still fighting for their first points of the season, of course. And Hiller, after a great performance in qualifying, has held on well to the top 4 in the early phases of the race, and now puts on the harder tyre.
Yeah, and hopefully, well, that's both True Norths coming in. That's Pishkan as well. And they're going to be switching onto the hard tyre too, with the main standout being David Wasserman, who obviously started on the hard tyre, and there's a yellow in sector 1. I can't quite work out in my head who that is. Hiller.
Oh dear, so Hiller's hit someone and come out right in front of his teammate, actually, on the way out the pits there. So that pit lane exit claiming another victim.
Yeah, I'd be quite interested to see what happened here, and hopefully... Yeah, this
Meanwhile,
replay should
Alessandro
show up.
Maggio sits 1:35.3 out there, so fastest man on track at the moment on those fresh hard tyres. But here's the exit. Oh, and it was Maggio he hit, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, and
That's
that's
the
Sakura
exit.
having to avoid him. And this time he did have to go off track. No choice there, as he'll have to do a 180 at the most awkward point on the circuit.
That pit exit really, like I said, it's an unwieldy place to really come out, and no amount of race direction can sort of fix that. But yeah, and Joseph
You
Helllock,
could just not race in Saudi Arabia, that is a solution, but unfortunately
it's a
not
good
the one we
fix.
have. But anyway, Joe Herlock going into pit lane now, getting off those soft tyres then. So after seeing Vincent go breeze past, Sandeep Singh, sorry, breeze past him, he knows he has to try something different to keep that track position. And Luke Mitchell also pitting behind for Alpha Sierra, and it looks like one of the Chaos cars coming in too.
yeah, and I don't think much is going to happen.
Investment stays out, sorry.
Oh, yeah. But Helllock comes out just ahead of Maggio. Well, I say just ahead, that's 4 seconds. But I imagine that isn't helped that much by the issues we're having with the pit exit here. And I won't be surprised if we see another by the end of the race, because we still have a few people yet to pit, by which I mean Yasser Latanen and Remco de Joux. So I don't wish it on them. I just imagine.
Well, none of the top 10 have pitted yet, essentially. So
No,
I think all of
that's
them
not
have still
true.
got to come in.
Helllock's been in. And Maggio.
Yeah,
Oh.
well, I mean, on the current top 10, as you can see on the left, I think that's accurate. So Maggio is the first of those who has stopped, essentially. Although Herlock did come in as well, actually, you're right. Yeah, I think Herlock is it's top 8 and they haven't pit yet.
And Latanen making it easy for Helllock to pass. Not really much point fighting Helllock for the Red Ben driver, who's sort of relaxing at this point in the race, you'd imagine.
The purple sector for Kurashavin as he fights Sakura for 12th now. So Jan Sakura, after a couple of lucky escapes, now finds himself under attack from Kurashavin.
Yeah, it's a race that just doesn't stop, it seems, for Sakura. But like you said, we're still at the top 5 yet to pit, and this is Maxime Beaulieu under attack by Cedric Bill, who at the start of the race
I think that was Bill struggling to keep him at bay, actually, because he's not had great pace in this race. As Latanen enters pit lane for Red Van.
Yeah, and this is the battle. Hiller and Thomas Kutka. I doubt it's going to be that difficult. Almost into the back of Davide Zanini. Very well broke by Hiller into turn 1. And yeah, that was millimeters away from disaster while passing Thomas Kutka. So really great driving from both of them there.
Yeah, and after that 180-degree spin coming out of the pits, so crucial for Hiller to gain back all that time he lost through no real fault of his own, to be honest. With the hit with Maggio, it was just one of those things with the ridiculous design of that pit lane that couldn't really be avoided as Kurashov in the background. I think that must be Mitchell in the other Alphas here making a move on Kutka in the first sector there.
And Herlock setting a personal, well, yes, a personal best, but a session best sector 1 of 34.7. But this is Kutka now under attack by Luke Mitchell. I imagine this is going to be a relatively easy move for... Oh, sorry, no, this is Pishkan. And that's not a place you see a move happening that often, but pretty well driven by the two of them, but they're still side by side heading through turn 24. Was that a hit for Thomas Kutka on the inside? I think it was hitting the wall there. But Pishkan, he's not going to have the DRS down the main straight, so Kutka, I feel like that was a bit tactical to let Pishkan go. And
he's too far back, look, and he's messed up the final corner as well. So he didn't want to let him through, but unfortunately that's what's happened as we see Zanini gaining another place on the PZZW of Cedric Bill there. But Herlock, as you say, setting that purple first sector, and Wasserman actually has started to match the lap times in the sort of low 36s of Lehoux and company. So this is really crunch time. Lehoux has actually ballooned out the gap to 2.7 seconds to Jack Mayer. So Mayer has actually lost another 4 tenths on the previous lap to the race leader. So if I were Jack Mayer, I'd think about pitting fairly soon because it looks like the softs are starting to die for the front runners.
Yeah, and there was a bit of a mistake for highlight further back in the background of this image. But look at the grip difference between Bill and Heller. He wasn't quite able to make a move through that corner just now, but he's probably going to make it down the straight with the help of DRS. But he also wants to get ahead to get Luke Mitchell off the back of him, who's currently a bit racy after coming into the pits a few laps ago. So this pass into turn 22, is it going to happen? That's a move and a half.
Oh, it's a double move.
Mitchell is going to get past him as well. So Mitchell is going to be in the back of Hiller, now heading towards turn 27. But with the DRS, both of them, it's going to be Mitchell trying a move around the outside of turn 27. Not a place that you really see moves being made, given space, but that's shot quite quickly. But he's going to have the DRS down the straight, and this is where we're going to see a relatively easy move being made into turn 1 for Mitchell.
Yeah, there we go. So Luke Mitchell does not like to waste any time and likes to take advantage of opportunities as they present themselves. Remco Deseo just coming out of the pits right behind not Messi Chiller, but Pizkazan, of course. So he's back in the race in 19th position then. So he's going to have fresher tyres than those in front of him, so that could really come into play slightly later in this stint, as that Joe Herlock under attack from Alexander Ragotza behind him, the third of our Alexes in this race.
And yeah, Ragotza had a sort of great recovery drive in Australia. Not much to recover from here, but hopefully carrying the momentum of a sort of...
want to stay out of trouble, frankly.
Yeah. For a lot of drivers, they've, especially Maggio, who's currently in P9, arguably that's without the pit stops. And speaking of pit stops, Lehoux comes into the pits, and so does Jack Mayer, leaving Singh out to take the lead. But this is really a crucial pit stop for Lehoux not to make any mistakes and sort of getting off his line, and Mayer will probably be looking for any margin he can get here on Lehoux. But yeah, it seems pretty clinical from both of them, switching onto the medium tyres.
Yeah, plenty of clean track for Lehoux, crucially, and Jack Mayer's just going to come out ahead of, that must be Wasserman, who's yet to pit, having started on the hard tyres then, so he's got Joe Herlock behind, so crucial for Jack Mayer not to be undercut by Joseph Herlock there.
Well, we've also got Wasserman in P6 after his pit stop.
He's not pit, yeah, he started on the hards, remember, Wasserman.
Yeah, exactly, so he's going to be maybe like P12 after pit stops.
If he has a clean stop, of course, which is not guaranteed, as we've seen. But or rather, the stop itself being clean, I think that's guaranteed, but it's the exit that's more the risky part. But yeah, interesting that Sandeep, Singh, Vincent, Jan Dragoon all staying out a bit longer on the softer tyres. So their lap times 1:36.9, 1:37.0 for Dragoon. So they're going to be just losing time out there. So I wonder why they're extending the stint so long, unless they're trying to do a one stop here. It really feels like one stop versus two stops here. There we go, Joe Herlock going around the outside of Wasserman on a significantly fresher hard tyres there going into turn 22.
Yeah, but Lahu with those new tyres, middle sector purple, and he's catching his teammate and the cars ahead of him, Dragoon, Gut, and Singh, who obviously are going to come into the pits now, unless Gut doesn't come into the pit lane. No, they do, so that's going to leave Lahu in the lead, and Sandeep Singh's probably going to come out in the mix of Alessandro Maggio. The undercut seems to have really helps them, but this could be a dangerous pit exit for I think Maggio and Good.
There's Sandeep. Yeah, so Sandeep has come out behind Wasserman and Herlock, of course, who was fighting Herlock earlier. Now he's got slightly fresher, harder tyres. He's got to clear the Chaos car in front of him that's going to run long in this stint. So he has stayed ahead of Maggio to the tune of 3 seconds, essentially. So this hasn't worked out too badly for Sandeep. The Rotor Formula still in the box seats here, both their cars.
But this strategy for Vale and Maggio seems to have worked incredibly well for him, because he was down sort of out of luck, really, after lap 1. He was down in P6, and that seems to be where he is.
Yeah, once Wasserman pits, he'll be back in P5, won't he?
So, obviously, not the P2 he wants, but yeah, it's the start of a recovery, and he's still got 21 laps, correction, to go in this race. But this is Singh looking to clear Wasserman. It's not going to happen into turn 22. It's not a place you see that many overtakes. I say that, but we saw one just a few laps ago. But yeah, on the harder tyres, well, the older tyres now for Wasserman, I imagine he's not going to fight this too much, and this is going to be made relatively easy for the Sandeep Singh, who is the owner of the Rotor Formula team and reigning champion. And that was close for Wasserman, very well held out of turn 27, and I think maybe he's starting to struggle a little bit with those older tyres.
Yeah, Maggio's been on those hard tyres for 10 laps now as well, so they're not going to be in as good condition as the likes of Vincent Gut and Sandeep Singh either side of him as well. So, as round goes Jan Dragoon at turn 1.
That's unfortunate for him, and I'd probably like to see what's happened, but who's that ahead going slowly? Is that Kurshavin? Is he giving up the place to Dragoon?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So Kurshavin just hit the back of Dragoon at turn 1 there while trying to make a move. Let's see what happened there.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go. So Dragoon is actually making the move on Dominic Kurshavin then.
Kurshavin must have just outbroke himself. Yeah, that's unfortunate. But I think the right thing to do was giving up the place like he did. So, yeah.
And they both lost position to Jan Sakura as a result of that there. So Kurshavin saw there was a gap behind and thought, I can afford to be nice here and give the position back without losing too much more myself.
Yeah, it's also just the courteous thing to do. And I won't say it alleviates him of a penalty in this situation, but, you know, it's going to make him viewed favorably. But Kurshavin now going to try and actually battle Jan Dragoon into turn 1, but you can see the effects of the dirty air as he lost 3/10 in
well, he's also on older tyres because he pit 9 laps ago, whereas Dragoon had literally just pit a lap ago. So Kurshavin another one on the Maggio strategy. His Wasserman pit, so he was only able to go 21 laps on the hard tyre, so that's probably the maximum length it can do really in the hands of the Chaos driver.
And Lahu that is very quick in the final sector. He's a second faster than anyone else basically on circuit right now in the final sector, and he's having a good race up to now, setting a personal best time of a 3:57, but that's the same as everyone else. So he's sort of just holding the gap to Jack Mayer, which is 2.5 seconds through the corners. So take it with a pinch of salt. We'll see along the straight what the gap really is, but Herlock looking quite happy now in P3.
It's interesting now that they've got off the softs. Alex Lahu, if anything, seems even more confident now on the harder compounded tyre, which especially compared to Jack Mayer, which is perhaps a little bit unexpected. He just about holds onto it there, so he's certainly not leaving anything on the table as he absolutely pushes to build a gap here. So that tells me that Alex Lahu's probably going to come in again for either another stint on these tyres or a stint on the softs near the end. So it looks like everyone might be committing to at least a 2-stop with the likes of Maggio. They're going to be on quite worn tyres at the end, aren't they, having pit so early?
I am having internet issues, so I didn't quite hear what you said, but I'll assume that at the end of the race, like you said, Lahu is probably going to go for another stint, but Mayer, fastest time of the race, 35.0, and we've also got a yellow in sector 1. Don't know. Oh, Luke Mitchell. Luke Mitchell is out.
Oh, that's a shame.
And we're probably about to get a replay of what happened to Mitchell here. Going through turn 6. Is there anything that happened? So turn 9 on the outside curb, and oh, that's really unfortunate. And I imagine he has quite bent steering there, so no point really continuing, and that's probably a horrible way to end a race, really.
Yeah, and it looked like he was pretty much on his own there as well. So I wonder if there had been a mistake before that and he was trying to recover from that. He'd been on the hards about 7 laps, so he had the track pretty much, like I said, to himself in sort of... He was just outside top 15, wasn't he? Somewhere behind Remco De Zeo and Jasse Lattinen, essentially, in the order. So big shame for Alpha Sierra and Luke Mitchell on a rare outing in Superlight. I think that might have been his first Superlights outing, actually, if I remember correctly. Not ending the way he would have liked, but as Jack Mayer continues to apply pressure to Alex Lahu, but unfortunately in the middle sector, Alex Lahu's just mighty there, 28.9 compared to 29.4 for Jack Mayer. So Lahu builds up the gap to 3 seconds once more. And Jack Mayer's really going to have to pull out something special out the bag if he wants to win this one.
It's a bit of a slinky between Lahu and Mayer, it seems like. The trading blows through the individual sectors and across laps, really. But this is the battle we want to look at. Singh trying to get past Herlock again. 0.1 faster on the last lap, and he just wants to get into DRS range, then he can use that superior straight line speed to close that gap very quickly. Herlock across a couple of laps as we're about halfway through the race at this point, and we're starting to see a sort of order, but not quite what we were expecting. Maggio down in P5 at the minute from P2 in qualifying.
Yeah, I think he's trying to conserve these hard tyres at this moment to try and get himself back on sequence with the others, essentially. As we see Joseph Herlock, he's on 5 lap older tyres, remember, than Sandeep Singh behind him, and he had to cut across the chicane there as well. That was sort of 22-23, wasn't it? But he's really feeling the pressure here. No, this is 22-23, it must have been 16-17 or so. But yeah, so it's a bit of a labyrinth here. Jeddah, it all looks very, very similar to me in places. But yeah, Joseph Herlock here, as you say, I think he's really going to be once more having to get defensive here because he's not really been closing. He was a 10th quicker than Jack Mayer the previous lap, as Alex Lahu's actually setting personal best laps of the race, 1:35.1 the lap before this one. So as we see Jack Mayer slightly fighting back, going a 10th faster than Alex Lahu. So like you said, there is a slinky effect in the use here from Jack Mayer. It's almost like he has a little end of the string to stop Alex Lahu just sprinting off into the distance. But unfortunately, he's starting to run out of string here is the issue. As long as he's about 3 seconds behind, he's not really in undercut range for the final stint then. As here we go, Kurashavin, another attempt then to pass Jan Dragoon, this time a little bit cleaner then, it seems, through the first chicane. Dragoon has to bide his time then, and I think Jan is actually on Jan Dragoon, is he on more worn tyres than Kurashavin, or is he on fresh tyres? No, Kurashavin's on older tyres. He's been on 13 laps on those hards, whereas Dragoon's only been on them 5 laps. So yeah, this is definitely a genuine pace issue compared to the Alpha Sierra in front of him that Dragoon is struggling from. Perhaps a bit of inexperience showing for Jan at this level.
And all this data you can access raceview.com. The service called GPVWC Sim Racing, and you can click on each individual driver and see how long their stints were and their laps in those stints. But Kurashavin cleaner this time around, and now setting his sights sort of, I'd imagine, to Sakura, but it seems semi-hopeless. But I think the idea now for Road to Formula is Singh wants to get past Herlock and then start putting pressure on Mayer to sort of get him off the back. Levelahu and secure that P1 position, and hopefully, for them at least, a 1-2 finish. Well, that's what they're going to be hoping for, but Dragoon now is going to have a second chance at Korshavin, as he had a great run through turn 27, it looks like here, and Korshavin losing the back end a little bit, and DRS open for Dragoon, but it's not going to be enough this time around. But he, of course, is on those fresher tyres, so it should be a fairly even fight through the first sector.
Yeah, so Dragoon knows he's just got to sort of hold on to Korshavin and wait for the tyres to drop off a cliff on that Alfa Sierra, and he could be still in the mix for 8th position, potentially a little bit more if something happens up front, of course, to the likes of those who hit earlier and are sort of running longer on those hard tyres. But yeah, keep your eyes, by the way, on David Wasserman, who has been slowly closing in on the back of Messi Chiller, 1.7 seconds to gap at the moment, but Wasserman has cleared Zanini for 13th. So he's making good progress here for Chaos, having picked very, very recently onto another set of hard tyres, I think. So he's definitely going to be coming in again, Wasserman, because he hasn't run a different compound. He's got to run probably the softs, you'd think, for the final stint. So a lot of the strategies starting to converge here on this Jeddah circuit. And yeah, it'd be interesting to see if Singh can clear Herlock, how much he can close on Jack Mayer, but I'm not certain. I think Jack Mayer is lapping only a tenth or two slower than Sandeep Singh at the moment, so their pace looks a little too similar from my eyes. But Sandeep Singh here, much closer than before, sticks to the inside, and yeah, nothing really that poor Joe Herlock can do, stranded on the outside there into the first couple of corners. Just without the straight line speed, he's got nothing to fight Sandeep Singh with.
Yeah, and Singh now, he's going to go into the downforce dependent areas, and actually in the background, we didn't quite see it, but Maggio gets past Vincent Gut for P5, but Singh is probably going to sort of gap Herlock a little bit, and I'd imagine Herlock isn't going to be able to close that gap at this point in the lap. And yeah, we're now watching Vincent Gut, who's trying to take back that place from Maggio, and I think Gut will be on much younger tyres. Maggio on 16 lap old hards.
Yeah, I wonder what's happened to Maggio here, because he wasn't far behind Herlock earlier, wasn't he, after his pit stop when he undercut, and I think he struggled for pace, and now Vincent has caught him on the fresher tyres, and that was just Maggio using a bit of DRS to retake the place there as we cut to him.
Yeah, and I imagine Vincent now through turn 22, this could be an opportunity for a move. He hasn't even got the DRS active yet, and there's such a straight line difference between the Valet and the Spark Racing, and on the inside through turn 22, that's a relatively easy move, but Maggio isn't giving up easily. It's a bit of a slide of the rear coming through turn 23, but Vincent seems to have got it back, but Maggio with the DRS behind.
Yeah, Maggio, not the kind of driver who likes to give up without a fight, and he's going to make a late braking maneuver into turn 27, the final corner, and somehow gets it slowed down in time, but that's going to really hurt his exit here. Vincent will just simply drive around the outside, and he gets DRS too for good measure. So Maggio, brave but foolish.
Yeah, I don't think he quite thought that through, and he's going to go down the inside. Not much space there, and that was quite late for Maggio. Very well avoided by
overdosed on his own courage here.
And Korshavin and Bouliou coming into the pits further back with that Zanini too, and Maggio hits the inside wall.
That was just a snap of oversteer, I think. He avoided the wall, thankfully, but Korshavin coming in, Zanini, Bouliou coming in. I think it's time for Maggio to come in too. How long has he been on those hards for? 17 laps. Yeah, that's near the end of their life then, as Korshavin back into the race in 15th position. So yeah, this is going to be tricky then, because he's guaranteed another really long stint on those hard tyres to the end, essentially.
That seemed a bit like a lapse of judgment on Maggio's part to be going for moves like that, but we're currently watching Rigosa on the back of Messier Hyla, and this could be an opportunity for a move for Rigosa to get back up the order, as he was P8 before the set of pit stops. I think he's on much newer tyres than Hyla.
Five pressure tyres, and Hiller has also had that massive spin at the start of his stint, essentially, coming out the pits. So he's been recovering well from that to get back into the top 10, but now he's going to be really feeling the pain of that at this moment.
Exactly, and DRS active for Ragosa. It's not going to be an easy pass through turn 27. It's not going to happen here. But if he's able to keep this gap as it is, it will be a move into turn 1 as Maggio further ahead comes into the pit lane along with Jan Sakura. But none of the drivers we're currently watching come in. This is Maggio. So hopefully it's going to be a good stop for him. But, from that fight
This
with
is to
Vincent
try and this is to try and get back ahead of Vincent, isn't it? Essentially, so he's going to try and undercut once more to gain some of those places that he lost. But he's been sort of fighting with one hand behind his back, hasn't he, Alessandro Maggio, in this race? And that's a real shame because I built it up, didn't I? Lahu versus Maggio, and once more Maggio has unfortunately made an error that's ruled him out of that fight, and Lahu has just controlled things from the front, not put a single foot wrong, it must be said, in this race.
Yeah, and you can see the frustration in Maggio's driving and how he's just, in a way, it's sort of reckless, the decisions he's making, not really thinking about further on in the race, but he's just thinking about right now on the back of Mateusz Piszkan. Brand new tyres for him, and Piszkan 15 laps into his stint, but further back, Dominic Karashavin showing impressive pace, and he's fastest in Sector 1 with 34.635. Sector times obviously don't matter that much in the race as much as they would in qualifying, but he's had great pace as Herlock comes into the pits in the other valet, and it'll be interesting to see where Herlock comes out relative to Alessandro Maggio, who
will
was
almost certainly be ahead then. This isn't to cut, because you get that 10-second gap for Maggio. This is more about fighting back against Sandeep here, so this could force Sandeep Singh into pitting earlier than he ideally wanted to, unless he's going to try and go out longer and put the softs on at the end as Herlock goes round the outside of Dragoon,
and I imagine Dragoon was sort of getting flashbacks for his teammate there, who got spun round in very much the same way. And that's an impressive lap by Karashavin. 2 purple sectors, 2 set of 34.8, beating Lahu's best time of basically a 34.9, or 0.89 if you want to be pretentious. But
pedantic, right?
Facetious or pedantic or whatever word you want to use. It's I'm not a master of the English language like you are, Ed.
Okay, well, I just have a dictionary in front of me, that tends to help that. Or a thesaurus. But there we go. Maggio, by the way, sets a purple first sector now that he's cleared Piskazan. And that's a 34.5, so he's lapping up 0.4 lap quicker than race leader Lahu and Maya. But that was an impressive lap from Kurashavin, and it's crucial that he's cleared Latinum because now he's got 3.2 seconds clear gap in which to chase down the likes of Sakura, Diziu, and close in on that top 10 finish that I'm sure I think he's set for 8th at the moment if he keeps the strategy that he's on right now. But we'll have to see what happens up front, of course, and whether anybody is forced into making an extra stop or two. But Ragosa now right behind Hila, and Hila, as I said earlier, is really feeling the pain. But look behind, David Wasserman, who's on fresher tyres than both of the cars in front of him, has been slowly closing in. So every lap Ragosa is stuck behind Hila, gets back into Wasserman, and that potentially could hurt his racing.
And the timing screen is getting lit up by absolutely everyone. Green sectors, purple sectors, and I just see a sort of set of fairy lights on my other screen of everyone.
Christmas already.
Yeah, purple, green, red. What else could you want? But this is Ragosa still on the back of Hyla. I think he went a bit wide there. Not going to affect him too much, but also we do have manual track limits in play after we realized that the game wasn't that good at automating them following the FS2 and FS1 races that we had here. But Herlock on those fresh soft tires is really upping the pace right now.
We didn't talk about that. Interesting call, actually, because he's gone soft, hard, and then back to the softs again. So that surely means he might be nursing these tyres in the final 10 laps, essentially. But he's really trying to undercut Vincent, isn't he?
Yeah, and he also...
And Sam Bottom.
I don't think Singh is going to pit, because he's still got a 20-second gap, 22-second gap. And Herlock, unless he's able to take 2 seconds every lap, it's not going to go away that quickly. But also, we have to remember.
do 22 laps though on the hard tyre. Yeah, that is a big ask. We saw the chaos driver of Wasserman struggle to do 21 laps, isn't it?
Yeah, but at the same time, Herlock's going to be pushing the softs right to the edge of their life. We saw them lasting about, on average, 14, 15 laps, and the hards lasting about 20 or so, which sounds a bit weird, really. But yeah, so Herlock, on those softs, it's just a matter of whether he's able to nurse them right now and use them later on in the race, where Singh will really start to feel the impact of having worse tyres, as the best laps have gone down a second in a matter of 5 laps, with Tom van der Voort with the fastest currently of a 33.89.
Yeah, and it is interesting that Herlock is one of the only ones of the front runners to get. Maggio, I guess, as well, is going to be. He's got much more ground to make up, essentially, with those 10 seconds behind his teammate. Unfortunately, he's found himself behind more cars then. But when we go into the final 10 laps, then the front runner's going to have to commit to this strategy there. So anyone struggling on the harder tyres at the end is going to be really feeling the pain and wishing they pit potentially. But Alex Lahoo, he's really got the gap here to do what he wants. I think if he had pit, he would have had to overtake Mayer, Singh and Gut. So probably the right call from Motor Formula here.
Yeah, and Mayer isn't going to pit either. So he sort of just has to maintain this position as Perseus
and
Miram.
Look at this, Lahoo has got more lapped cars he's caught up with here, so that's Miram he's dealt with, and then that's Van der Voort not too far up the road. So even if Joseph Herlock has an amazing stint here, he's going to have to overtake these lapped cars as well, which is going to distract him, if nothing else, through some of these high-speed corners.
Yeah, well, it's proving, lapped cars tend to be a very useful barrier, and not in the sense that you crash into them. Sometimes you do. Sometimes it's your fault. But interestingly, one thing I do want to talk about, Maggio didn't opt to go the same way as Joseph Herlock. Pitted roughly the same time as him, a lap before, but he went for hard tyres opposed to Herlock's choice of the soft tyres. So quite interesting to see a difference in strategy between the two Valley esports, as Maggio looking down the back of David Wasserman and hoping to get past, I'd imagine, relatively soon. A second between them as we head on to the third straight of the track.
Yeah, he's about a second a lap faster than Wasserman at the moment, so like you say, you can't imagine that Wasserman will be ahead for too much longer. But yeah, it's an interesting one because of the different strategies here. I'm actually kind of surprised at this. I thought everyone would do pretty much the same strategy, like what we've seen Lahoo, Mayer and Singh do. But I'm glad to see Joseph Herlock and Maggio taking the gamble here. And I suppose with the setup they got on their cars, they sort of had to. I wonder if Maggio, having spun on the soft tyres, just decided that he likes the hards better and likes the idea of pushing a hard set of tyres all the way in the final stint, rather than having to do what Herlock is doing, where he's surely going to have to nurse those softs near the end. As we see Ragota finally pass Hiller for 7th. That's because Hiller has pit, of course.
And that's a late move, but he's made it happen very barely.
Brakes there.
Yeah, Maggio truly testing his car's limits, really, when you should be doing that in practice. But yeah, he's done quite a good job to get past Wasserman relatively cleanly, and Haller is going to come out in P16. But Herlock now with the fastest first sector. Again, doesn't mean much, but it just shows how much he's pushing. He's 1.6 seconds, or a second now, behind Vincent Gut, and I imagine this is going to be a relatively easy pass when the time happens.
Yeah, the thing is, if he's caught Vincent very quickly, but then there's another 15.9 seconds to Sandeep Singh, which is the person he was hoping to fight with. Remember, he was about 5 or 6 seconds, I think, behind Singh before he came into pit, wasn't he? So you've got to wonder whether Joe Herlock is really going to net gain that much in this race at this strategy. If he overtakes Vincent, he'll be at least where he was. But this was all about trying to force Sandeep into making an extra stop to sort of react to him. And unfortunately, Rotor Formula haven't taken the bait here.
Yeah, and I imagine they're just thinking smart, because there's no point pitting. You're just going to end up behind Gut like Herlock is, and realistically, it's not going to get you anywhere other than put you back in a fight with Herlock, which is going to make you lose more time as we've got 7 laps to go, and I really don't expect that 16-second gap now to drop very quickly, especially even though Herlock has this amazing pace, he's not really that much faster than the leaders, about a second a lap on the softer tyres, and he's at the minute in a way struggling to get past Vincent, but I imagine it's not going to be made too difficult with Vincent being on those 15-lap-old hard tyres.
Yeah, interesting fight going on for the final point, by the way. Tahila, who just switched onto the soft tyres, has seen Zanini just get past Latinen. So we've got Yassi Latinen, the FS2 race winner here in the red van, fighting Massey Chilla, of course the FS1 driver from last year in the True North car. Desperately trying to get first points on the board for the Canadian team. So Carter McColeman will be cheering Gila on most soft tyres, and Gila's been setting I think he's just done his first lap out of the pits last time, but he was about a second faster in the first sector alone, and Yassi Latinen. So it's looking good for Massey Chilla to sneak his way into the points here.
Yeah, but this is probably the move for Herlock heading down the main straight. I say that, but Vincent with the lower wings is sort of pulling away here, but Herlock can be very confident on the brakes. He's not going to try it into turn 1 rather wisely. He's got 6 laps to make this happen, and I think he's realised at this point there's no point trying to rush past Gert. His Singh is 19 seconds up the road, and that's really an unbreakable gap for Herlock, even with the softer tyres, especially at this point in his soft tyre stint.
Yeah, so that's what, if Vincent Gitt wasn't there, this might have been a more effective strategy. As we see, is this Maggio passing Ragosa in the background for 7th position, or trying to anyway. It looks like Ragosa has fought back here, and he's tried to back Maggio into the path of Wasserman, who, remember, he cleared a few laps ago. So the battle's continuing, and nobody willing to give up here with just a handful of laps remaining as Latinen comes into the pit stops late on. So that puts True North back into the points with Hiller. He's got a 10-second gap to Pisgazan, so they've got to hope that something happens ahead of them, because they could be on for a double points finish here.
Yeah, if something happens ahead of the 2 True Norths, that'll be rather easy double points. Not the double points you want, but...
Yeah. And Hiller could potentially have been fighting for much more points had he not been spun around out of the pit lane. But
oh yeah.
Let's let bygones be bygones, and I'm sure Massiage will console himself with at least his amazing comeback drive here, where he's put on quite a lot of moves to get back into the points on merit, of course. And he sets another personal best lap of the race, does Massiage, 1:35.5, which is about a 10th quicker than Zanini. Ahead of him as this is a late dive again. Maggio makes a late dive. This time at least he will get DRS for his bravery. But there we go. Ragosa is a really good defensive driver, isn't he? And look at this. He's cleverly backed him into Wasserman here, because he knows Wasserman has got decent straight line speed himself and could give Maggio some trouble here. And that might defend the Gallery 82 in these closing stages.
Yeah, and it really feels like Maggio is just getting really impatient behind Ragosa, and it's not helping him as Hyla sets the fastest lap of the race. But interestingly, I'm not quite sure why. Yasser Latinen, who was P15, hit for some reason to go onto the softs with 5 laps to go. I won't question the strategy.
Well, he had just fallen out of the points, I think, because of Hiller getting past him, and Hiller is actually past Zanini as well for 14th, so that's 2 points going True North's way. Next target, Maxime Bouliot, just another 9/10 ahead of him, so Hiller absolutely flying at the moment. But look at this, Sakura has joined the battle, and Wasserman on those worn tyres is going to struggle to stay in the top 9 here with 5 laps to go.
Yeah, and I think it's what's happened for Samdeep Singh as well is he's kept those tyres alive, and also Vincent Good is doing a great job of holding off Herlock. I imagine he won't be able to hold off Herlock that much longer with the DRS. It's going to be a relatively easy move into turn 1.
Or he's a little bit far back though. I wonder if he's using maybe a bit more fuel mix, or a bit more, this was a hybrid car. He might be deploying more electrical energy down the straight that he's been harvesting in the rest of the lap there. But either way, it's good, intelligent driving from Vincent Gatt, using the strength of his car against the much quicker Joseph Herlock on far fresher, soft, and more superior compound tyre. but he's just going to wait for Herlock to burn through his tyres, then pushing too hard to pass him.
Yeah, it seems to be the story as Herlock goes wide, and I think he caught a bit of oversteer there. But yeah, both valets seem to be getting impatient behind the drivers they're trying to pass. Maggio and Herlock both making, in a way, relatively reckless moves, but I'm really rooting for Vincent and Spa, because this will be a great result for them for P2 and P4. And Good, I think, wants to hold on to this P4, not just for the team, but for himself, and a good get-up for him. But Herlock, with the DRS, seems to be struggling a little bit because of that higher downforce setup, but the DRS seems to be helping him, and this was a good run through turn 22, and lots of momentum heading to turn 27. And it seems like Gut is stronger in the first sector, where he can sort of give the dirty air to Joseph Herlock, but Joseph Herlock going to go down the inside into turn 27. Vincent Gut holding it around the outside. Who's going to get the DRS? And I believe it's going to be Herlock, but he's got that worst exit.
Yeah, there we go. So he sort of tried to invite Herlock up the inside so he could steal the DRS off of him, but ended up compromising Herlock's exit anyway, despite not being able to do that. As Maggio finally clears Ragozza for 7th, this time you would assume for good.
But it seems like Ragozza's fighting back. And so is Jan Sakura. This is free wide heading into turn 1. And Sakura on the inside. He's got past both of them. And now it's a fight between Maggio and Ragozza. And it seems like Maggio coming out on top. But Jan Sakura, the winner of that entire battle, and seems to have got past them. And now Ragozza, I feel like he's going to be quite annoyed that Maggio's got a yellow in sector 2. I'm trying to see, but I can't quite observe on the timing screen, but this is a great battle.
So, brilliant double move, as you say, from Jan Sakura. And, of course, he's on 10 lap old hard tyre, so he pit the exact same lap as Maggio's. That's why he's been, and all of being held up behind Ragozza has really played into his hands. We also saw in the background Kurashavin, who's also been on the hards for about 11 laps, passing Wasserman, who's been on them for 17. So David Wasserman drops down to 11th place, so still good points on offer for Chaos. But Kurashavin also another to take advantage of the Ragozza train, and in fact it could be Ragozza that is the next victim of Kurashavin in the next couple of laps, as Herlock this time gets a much better exit. I don't think Vincent's going to be able to keep this one at bay, but he's going to give it a damn good try.
Hold on, he might actually be able to, unless Herlock goes for a late braking move into turn 1. That Spark is a rocket ship down the main straight, but it's not helped for Herlock by his higher downforce setup. But this is a great fight here between the two. And speaking of great fight, Dominik Kurashavin on the back of Alexander Ragozza, who was P7, now down in P10 as Kurashavin tidy down the inside. Ragozza not letting go too easily, but I think he's going to have to. But one thing I've noticed, Wasserman was P9, he's now down in P11, so I think something happened to him.
Well, yeah, what happened was Kurashavin got by and Maggio too. But yeah, Ragozza has been on those tyres 21 laps now, so he's really just in survival mode, and I think Wasserman may be even able to clear him, because like I said, he's only been on them 18 laps, so that's 3 laps fresher. So they're lapping similar pace, but yeah, Ragozza, they've clearly dropped off the cliff, and that's what happens after 21 laps or so. That's just the absolute limit of these hard tyres. They just refuse to cooperate after that, and they just become very, very difficult to manage. But yeah, last couple of chances then for Joseph Herlock then to try and get back into 4th. This strategy backfiring, he gets a good run, but is Vincent Gut toying with him here into turn 27?
He's going to have that DRS, and he's also going to have the better straight line speed to Joseph Herlock. That free temps is going to become 0 very quickly with the DRS heading into turn 1, 20 kilometers faster for Vincent Gut, and it's a relatively easy move to just hold on, and that's going to be the penultimate overtaking opportunity realistically for Joseph Herlock, unless he's able to get by before turn 22. But this is Alessandro Maggio, now on Jan Sakura. He's going to try around the outside of turn 1, and it's not going to be made too difficult for Jan Sakura, but it's very close for that front wing, but it's not a great exit for Maggio, and Jan Sakura still on the back of Maggio here, and still looking to hold on to that 7th place.
Yeah, you can see the body language of that car. He's just swung around the outside of Sakura into turn 1. I've had a bad day, Jan. Don't mess with me. That's what that felt like to me. But yeah, poor Maggio. He would hope to be much further up than P7. But still, a solid recovery, as you say, even how tricky this race has been for him. But yeah, missed opportunity for Valet, you've got to say, overall. With Maggio getting into trouble with Meyer on the opening lap, and now Herlock making a strategy call that's not paid out for him, thanks largely in part to this incredible defensive work of Vincent Gut here, who forces again Joe Herlock to get a bit desperate and run off track.
Yeah, and in some ways, this is a defensive masterclass by Vincent Gut here to hold on to P4, sorry. I was going to say P3. And Herlock, he's really got past only once, but then immediately overtaken on the straight here. But yeah, Gut is doing an amazing job, a stellar job of holding Herlock behind. And Herlock, you can see the difference. It was 20 kilometers an hour, but he's going to try down the inside into turn 1. But going to hold it on the inside, but it's around the outside. And yeah, Herlock made the move, but also Gut is going to have that faster straight line speed as we head onto the 2 straights further back, as long as he's able to stay with Herlock. And that's squiggly for Herlock through turn 5. And he's really struggling at this point to hold on to these tires after fighting with Gut for so long, but Gut seems to have been falling off. And that's a yellow in sector 1. Who was that? It's Kutka.
Oh, it's Thomas Kutka who's the lap down then. Oh, and he's had a big crash as well. So that's not the end today he would have wanted. But that looks like coming for the fast sweepers, isn't it? 5 and 6 essentially.
Yeah, but Lahu, dominant performance, lights the flag pole. I think really a grand slam for him, practice, qualifying, and now the race through turn 27. Jack Mayer in the foreground, 1.9 seconds. That gap has not changed throughout this race, really. But Alex Lahu, weaving across the line rather deservedly, wins in Jeddah and wins for the 2nd time this year and the 2nd time in a row. Jack Mayer in 2nd behind him, and Sandeep Singh rounding out the podium for Road to Formula. But there's still the battle behind between Joseph Herlock and Vincent Gut, but Vincent Gut seems to have fallen off the back after an amazing defense. It's going to be Joseph Herlock coming out, prevailing over Vincent Gut. P4 and P5 for Vincent Gut with 9 seconds to the next finishers.
Yeah, Joseph Herlock really had to commit to that move on the final lap then. And let's not forget about Jan Dragoon as well. He had a really solid drive to P6. We didn't see a whole lot of him, but he really stayed out of trouble in that race and backed a lot of points. As Sakura losing position to Kurashavin over the line. That's a big shame for him then. But Kurashavin, as I said, he was in the battle for P8, and that's where he finishes then, as in the background we see Hiller has gotten up to 11th and just pipped by Vasserman to the line.
It's really impressive driving these last couple of laps, and we're really seeing some drivers struggling, and Lahu was doing donuts there, I think. Sort of deservingly after such dominant performance, and this is Jack Mayer. And I think we're just waiting for the last few drivers to come across the line. But Kutka retiring on the last lap, and this is Ton van der Voort, who got spun coming out of the pit lane. And that was unfortunate for him earlier on in the race. And Tom van der Voort, not the last, he's still got Perseus Miram behind him, but he's going to be finishing rather soon. But Valet, you got a feel for them. They were very high up in qualifying, and it's not the performance they would have hoped for.
Yeah, I think Joe Herlock doing a good recovery to snatch that 4th right at the end from the immovable Vincent Gut. But yeah, good performance, but the strategy was not quite the fastest one. I think if Joe had done what Sandeep had done, he might have finished at least a little bit closer to him, rather than 21 seconds in arrears. And then as for Maggio, just so many issues today. But Road to Formula, there's 2 cars on the podium again for the 2nd race in a row, and I believe they're 1st and 2nd in the Drivers' Championship.
Yep. Ed, do you want to take us through the...
Sure thing then. So, a fabulous 2nd victory of the season in round 2 in Saudi Arabia for Alex Lahu, ahead of Jack Mayer by 2 seconds in the end. Sandeep Singh, bit of a lonely race in the end, but he triumphs over Joe Herlock by a vast margin, 2.8 seconds behind Jack Mayer in 3rd. So another double podium for Road to Formula. Joseph Herlock is 4 for Valley Esports with that late move right at the end on Vincent Gutt, who nonetheless makes it a good day for Spark Racing by backing up Jack Mayer in 5th. Dan Dragoon gets valuable points in his best finish in Superlights yet for Drake Racing. That's top 6 for him. Alessandro Maggio, a case of what could have been. He walks away in P7 ahead of Kurshavin, who made a great move right at the end on Jan Sakura over the line to snatch P8. David Wasserman rounds out the top 10 for Chaos with a very, very shrewd strategy, wasn't it? How stops did Wasserman do in the end from memory? I think it might have just been the one, wasn't it, with that really, really late stint. So yeah, you got one stop working to perfection for Chaos. Message Hiller, he's able to recover from that spin after being hit on the exit pit lane to get back up to 11th, but he was just outside the top 4 prior to that, so he'll be mixed emotions there, but nonetheless, first points of the season for True North Motorsport. Alexander Ragosa unfortunately drops to P12 right at the end, ahead of the 2 fusions of Maxime Bouliou, who beats his teammate Remco Desir. But finally, the final points finisher is Davide Zanini for TTF Racing, backing up his teammate Sakura, but just missing out on the points is the second True North of Matthias Bizgazan, and he beats Yassi Latinen, subbing in for Raven Racing. He finishes 17th ahead of Michal Galka. And it is Cedric Bill and Tom van der Voort a lap down, rounding out the top 20. In 21st position, of course, it's Perseus Miram or PZZW. He is our final finisher. Then our 3 retirements. Thomas Kutka with that late dramatic crash. Luke Mitchell also crashing out, and Florian Gaia retiring after front wing and steering damage in the opening 5 or 6 laps. So that's your finishing order, Alex. And another more twists and turns in this super light season as the interview room populates. But wow, loads of really, really impressive performances. But of course, Alex Lahou on top once more. And it seems he's just unshakable at the moment. His confidence building and building with each passing race.
Absolutely. And speaking of Alex Lahou, should we get him in here for an interview?
Why not? For once, he'll be pleased to see me.
Hello, Alex.
Hi.
Amazing race. It's dominant, really. How are you feeling?
Well, hello guys. I didn't really have any time to celebrate because I had to go to pee so badly. So so I had to be right back and then celebrate with the guys. But great race. Didn't really have any threat behind besides checking the gap to Jack. It was pretty much a no man's land race. Just keeping it on the track. On lap 34, I actually scared myself because I hit the wall, where Fernando said just a little kiss. I did the same and got dark blue damage somehow.
Was there ever a point in the race where you felt pressured by anyone?
I would say yes, because checking the gap to Jack every once in a while actually kept me the pressure on and the focus. If I hadn't done that, would have been a different story.
It did look like Jack was sort of slowly chipping away in the first stint, and then once you switched to the hard tyre, you looked a lot more comfortable, Alex. Like you were able to keep him pretty comfortable at arm's length until, of course, you got that little bit of damage, but nonetheless, you were held on pretty convincingly, and you had the pace in hand just to stop him getting into DRS range, essentially.
That's actually true, but we were in the mediums.
Okay.
I'm just kidding.
You've won, and you still find some fault in my commentary. It's like I'm the bad guy now, apparently.
No, you're good. You're good, Ed.
I thought you'd be pleased to see me for once after FS1 last season, when every interview would be mixed emotions, essentially, like a bad race 1 followed by a brilliant race 2 or something like that. But now, only one race, so you've got to get it right first time, and you've absolutely done that. Well, tell us about that qualifying lap, by the way, against Maggio, because that you really had to pull something special out there, and that was really impressive to see, to get your first Superlights pole position as well.
Yeah. To be honest, the practice lap I did just before quali was about 1/10 and 30 milliseconds quicker than what I did in quali. But I had to take it safe in sector 3 in the quali lap because I knew I had it after sector 2. I couldn't get the lap in actually after my banker, which was weird, surprising, because I kept aligning the 0.6 in practice. That's weird. And then Matt just set the pole position lap, and I'm like, okay, I need to get this lap done now. And I managed it. Nice, not bad. Also,
Yeah, it's great to
congratulations
see
to
you.
Jack and Sandeep for the podium. 1-3, always satisfying to see.
It's great to see you respond so positively to that competition, because other drivers, they just want to be left alone up front and dominate. But you were responding well to what Alessandro Maggio was doing qualifying, and you were checking that gap to Jack Mayer, and it really caused us to see the best of you today, Alex. So thank you very much for putting that show on for us today.
Thank you, Ed, and have a great night. Thank you.
I'm sure I will. My throat's a bit sore, but I'll live.
Yeah, and I think, well, I'll let you pick. Who are we getting in, Ed?
Shall we do sequentially then? So Jack Mayer next.
Yeah, sure.
So we're joined now by the man who finished second here in Saudi Arabia. And that is, of course, the man taking his first podium of the season. I believe his best finish in Superlights to date. And that is, of course, our reigning FS1 champion driver for Spark Racing Team, Jack Mayer. Jack, hello. Obviously, chaotic first lap, and you find yourself in second place. And that's where you finish. So unfortunately, couldn't quite close the gap to a very, very dominant Alex Lahou today. But you certainly threw everything you could at him. We were just told that on lap 34, he hit the wall and then got blue damage that he was a bit nervous about, but he nonetheless was able to stay out of DRS range just about. He kept you at arm's length, essentially, and that was sort of what ended up deciding the race there. It felt like in the first stint, you were closing on him a little bit as well. Like you were more confident on the soft tyres. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, congrats to Alex. He was faultless pole win. I think he got the fastest lap. I did throw that away on the last lap with invalidation. Otherwise, it would have been close. But yeah, I mean, you can't fault him, especially the last two races. He's done great this season. I mean, lap one we knew it was going to be a matter of track position, but like later in the stint. But you also want to be with the fast guys. I mean, I don't know what Valet's setup was, but I think the straight line speed of the Sparks and the R2Fs were pretty much the fastest. So when we worked it out, lower wings, so like what I think Maggio was on, higher wings, would have been faster in the race pace. So it's just been a matter of keeping with them. And I know me and Sandeep, both of us wanted to be ahead of each other. And I think the lucky thing for the whole race for me was getting ahead of him at turn 1 and 2. And it was chaotic. I didn't expect Maggio to drop off on lap 3. And then I could see Alex, and it was just, I think it was just pushing and saving the tyres at the same time, really, for the whole first stint. It was a matter of maybe using P2P, push to pass, at certain parts of the track without using up too much of the tyres. And at least that was for me. I don't know what Alex was doing. I've not really spoken to him yet. But yeah, that's all it was. The gap coming closer and further away as we went through different parts of the stint.
Yeah, we saw Maggio drop off on lap 4. We cut to him and he was just losing a load of places. So we didn't actually see what happened, unfortunately. I was hoping you might have had a better view.
Yeah,
but
I think I mean, I'll have to watch it back. It was so long ago already. But I think he was already looking loose. I'm not sure if he had damage because there was contact between him and Sandy.
It was through 22-23, wasn't it? Yeah,
yeah, he
turn
dropped
1,
it there. On that, lap 1 there was damage. I know Sandy didn't get damage, but I can't talk for Maggio. But I'm guessing he might have had damage because he looked really, really all over the place really the first few laps, especially sector 1. And I think he just dropped it. I can't remember if he bottomed on the curb or if he just lost it on the exit. But yeah, it was kind of scary because I didn't know if he was going left, right, or in the middle. But I think I picked it up right.
Alex, do you have any questions for Jack? Sorry.
No, I was just listening, and yeah. Was there any point? I imagine for a lot of drivers, tires was a big issue. Was it a big issue for you as well, or were you quite comfortable with your
everyone who knows me, tires is the biggest issue for me. I mean, Vincent last year and with Shimon as well, everyone I've driven against has always had better tires than me. So that's probably my weakness. Even when I try looking after them, it's always a bit of a struggle. I mean, the race today was the best it had been compared to all the race sims that I had done. But it was still a struggle, and I think I was still struggling compared to the R2Fs. Having said that, I don't think it lost me any time in the race, both down to, like you say, Alex hit the wall. I don't know whether his pace really dropped off or whether it just feels like you do, because that happens. I mean, I would be surprised if no one didn't hit the wall, you know? It's a street circuit. We're going so close every lap. I mean, I definitely had a few scrapes and a few moments where I thought, oh, that's the end of the race, but it didn't. And I think that's just part of street circuits. I think the main focus is you're not looking at the walls, you're just looking at the tyres. And if you're me, looking at that 2-3 second gap to Alex, it would fluctuate every lap. I don't think the tyres done anything for me. I boxed when I wanted to box. I came out where I wanted to, and I took the tyres to the percentage I wanted to. So it could have been ideal if I had better wear, but I don't think that's an excuse to not finish first.
So really ideal race, not perfect maybe, but where you wanted it to be. Anyway, Ed, do you have any final questions or?
No, not really. I just want to say congrats on the first podium of the season, Jack. And I'm sure after what happened in Melbourne, where a podium unfortunately got away from you, this is going to feel much more satisfying. It's great to see you finally get your season well and truly underway and potentially getting part into that title fight, because I'm sure this isn't going to be the last time we see you on the podium. And I wouldn't bet against you going one step higher later in the season.
It's early days. Alex is looking good. There's a lot of drivers who are fast, but we'll see at Suzuka. We'll see what happens. Thank you, guys.
Cheers, Jack.
And so we're going to sequential order. So we'll go to Sandeep Singh next.
Yeah, let's do that.
Hello, Sandeep.
Yo.
That was a relatively good race from you around. So I imagine, what were your thoughts when Herlock pit later on in the race? Were you sort of thinking that was a bit of an insane strategy, or did you feel pressured by that at all?
No. Fair enough.
I
knew what plan I was doing. I knew only 3 drivers on the grid was going to do it. That was it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you think at any point in the race that you were going to be able to challenge Jack ahead of you, or were you just really focused on being comfortable in third?
No, I mean,
podium?
you can see I was pushing, trying to catch up to them, see if I put them under pressure. But nah, they both held on in the end. So, but I'm okay. I got P3 in the end, and I did use the older engine for this race compared to them too. So
really a strong race all around. Yeah.
Yeah, surprising as well, actually. Yeah, I wasn't really expecting much for this race, to be honest. I was on holiday anyway for a week, and then we started testing properly on the weekend, and we just, I don't know, the car felt very, very good on the longer runs, and I thought more people were going to do the one stop, but like on the soft hard, but I guess I don't know, maybe I don't know why I didn't in the end. But yeah. Solid race. 1-3 again for the team.
And of course, it puts you into second in the Drivers' Championship, Sandeep, which I believe is the highest you've ever been in Superlights, of course. And behind your teammate, who's probably the only person you'd sort of think you kind of want to be behind in terms of point positions in the championship. There was an interesting moment as well into turn 1 with Alessandro Maggio, I think, where you dived up the inside of him into turn 2, and there was a little bit of contact. Obviously, it seems like you were okay, but Alessandro's car seemed a little bit more skittish after that, with him having a moment and spinning out. We didn't quite see it on stream, but we saw him being slow just after that and losing a bunch of places then. So do you have any thoughts on that, or was it just one of those unfortunate racing incidents?
It's just lap 1 we touched. That was it, really. I didn't get any damage, so he shouldn't have it. If I didn't get any damage, then he didn't have any damage. So maybe he pushed his. Maybe he was pushing too hard to try to keep up with Alex.
Yeah, quite possibly. And that is a shame. But of course, you didn't really put a foot wrong in third, and in fact, you kept the gap fairly stable to Jack Mayer as well. So, like I said, you weren't going in expecting too much, but it really feels like you've been one of the dark horses of this season, just always there in the background, keeping to your strategy, not panicking, because it did feel like Joe Herlock pitting at the end was an attempt to sort of make Rotor Formula panic and make you pit again, so that you didn't worry about getting undercut. But you didn't fall for the bait, and you absolutely, to your credit, didn't put a foot wrong. So
Yeah,
yeah,
like I said,
congratulations.
I knew what strategy I was going to do. I just executed it anyway. That was it really. In the end, I know like 3 or 4 guys who are on the grid is good on tires, but Herlock and Maggio aren't the ones that are good on tires.
That might be why they went for the higher downforce as well.
Oh, did they went high wing? I'd even look. I know we went pretty. I went different way to Alex. I went lower than him, and then because I had the older engine, so I was losing a bit on the straights. So I wanted something for the race, and then I didn't know we were lower than. I didn't know we had a higher top speed than the Valley. So that's quite interesting.
Same with Spark.
It did seem pretty clear to us on stream, and Jack, I think, confirmed it as well, that the Sparks and the R2Fs were really quick in a straight line, whereas the Valets went for a little bit more higher wings, which is why they were so quick in qualifying and then struggled a little bit more in the race and had to do the 2-stop strategy, essentially. But anyway, stunned silence from Sandy.
Well, I got Japan next, so I'm looking forward to that. So
good track for you, Japan.
Mate, I just don't want it to. Wait, what time is it? I don't want it to rain.
It's about 9:30.
Yeah,
so
I just don't want it to rain. That's it.
Yeah.
So I've been threatening a win there for like 4 years, but it keeps raining on it. So I'm gonna go for that one.
Wow, I can't wait to see it, of course, because we've seen you drive in Japan before, and of course, put in some solid performances. But like you say, and with those pole positions you did at the end of the season in Superlights last year, that really showed. Was it? No, was it? No, you didn't. No, I'm thinking of Mr. Dylan Fisher, aren't I?
Yeah,
it was the win in Abu Dhabi. I was thinking.
I'm probably as well.
It was Abu Dhabi you won at, is what I should have said.
Yeah, that's the one.
So you certainly ended last season high, and you've taken that momentum with you to 2 more podiums. So yeah, it's certainly not out of the realms of possibility that you could be in the mix for victory once more once we get to Suzuka. Which, like you say, great circuit for you.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I'm pretty quick.
That was more of a statement than a question. I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm just saying I am good at Suzuka, so.
Okay, I'm running out of smoke to blow up your behind, so I think unless Alex, you had any more, I think it's probably about time to let Sandeep go.
Yep.
No, okay, so congrats on another consecutive podium, Sandeep. Let's hope you can keep the streak going, and congrats to you and Rotor Formula on a very, very successful start to the season.
Thank you.
All right, so as we let Sandeep leave, shall we invite Vincent Good?
Yes.
After his heroic defensive drive? Let's see what he has to say about the race. Sorry to drag you in mid-sentence, Vincent, but welcome after finishing P5 in the end, but you put in an immaculate defensive drive against Joseph Herlock on much older hard tyres as well.
Mediums.
So nearly held him off there, so that was a really, really exciting fight then.
Oh yeah, that was fun. I was like 10, 11 seconds behind him before he pitted, and I thought, okay, he will catch me. Do I want to defend and lose time or not? But then I thought, okay, let's use some of a P2P I had left to defend, and maybe his tires will drop. We were good on tires, and yeah, others were not as good as us on tires. So let's try it. And it almost worked, and it was also quite nice to have this top speed. We had like 3-4 kph more without any P2P or DRS on the straights, so that helped quite a lot as well.
Were you expecting the move that got put on you by Joseph on the last lap?
Yeah. I think he had more P2P left. I lost too much at the beginning. I put on my quali, hit the barrier, and wasn't able to continue. Otherwise, 2-3 positions. I could have qualified 2 or 3 positions better, and would have lost less P2P and would have been closer. So I lost it there. And I knew it before it will be very close because I was running out of P2P.
Yeah, you did a really good job, by the way, Vincent, making up a couple of positions early in the race. I think, if I remember correctly, quite a lot happened. So, but like you say, you qualified a little bit out of position, gained a few places, and then that put you in that fight, the position sort of take advantage of when Joe Herlock had to pit near the end, essentially, to try and make his strategy work. And I was interested in that battle, to go back to it, because there was a couple of times into the final corner where it felt like you were trying to sort of slow down and sort of try to let him through, but you would get the DRS and then just sweep around the outside of him, essentially. So was there a lot of strategic thinking there, or were you literally just trying to hold on for as long as you could in any way you could, and it all just sort of happened the way it happened?
At the beginning, I mainly thought I'll just stay ahead because I had the top speed, I had some P2P left. But later, when he was close, I was maybe shifting up a bit early, so he's closer and might overtake me. But I wasn't trying any really stupid stuff. Just braking a little bit earlier when he was next to me to get it, but not really often, or too much. A little bit when it was helpful, but not too much.
Yeah, well, congratulations, because I believe that 4th or 5th place, even though you lost 4th right at the end, it's still your best finish in your Superlights career so far, Vincent. So
should be.
Yeah, so I think it's neck and neck with you and with Spark and Valet in the Teams Championship as well, in the battle for second then. So after Jack's performance today, you've got to feel confident then going into Japan.
Where did Mathieu finish?
P7 in the end, yeah.
Yep.
P7.
He had a spin early on.
Yeah, he was quite slow and almost Verstappen me. I don't know how the points will be, but I was really happy about Jack because he was struggling quite a lot yesterday and today, and he was like, "Oh, I will crash, I will DNF," and he didn't look confident. And then he also got internet problems yesterday and today, and just before the race, at the end of practice, he had another disconnect, and I was really happy that he was able to finish the race. And I'm also really happy for Alex, not bottling it anymore and showing he's able to show what he can.
Yep, Alex Lahou, the phenomenon, the demon of speed, the fastest Frenchman in existence. Really, we're struggling to pick our nickname because Alessandro Maggio is the magic man, so Lahou, Lahou is through, I think, was the only one we had before, so there's probably a little straw poll going on in the background for us to pick. But yeah, you definitely put on the defensive drive of the race, Vincent, so full credit to you and Spark Racing, because you used that straight line speed and some strategic driving to perfection today, and put on a fabulous show for me and Alex to commentate on.
Yeah.
Only person not happy, I
start of
imagine,
the
is
day.
Joe Herlock. Well, even though he did get through at the end, so he probably wouldn't be too begrudging.
I gained the positions.
Yeah, of course. So net gain for Vincent. Anyway, any final thoughts, Alex? Do you have any questions for Vincent before we let him go?
No. Just congratulations to Vincent for P5 and probably my driver of the day. An amazing defense on Joe Herlock.
Thank you.
Best of luck in Japan, Vincent, in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah, thank you. See you. Bye-bye.
Hey. Oh, so top 4 came into interviews. That's pretty good. We got all the top 4 in.
All
Usually
top
you
five.
get maybe that's true, top 5. Yeah, no Joe Herlock, of course. Usually you just get the winner and then like 2 or 3 other random drivers that come in. But yeah, a lot of our top runners are coming in. So all of the podium as well. That was great
To be fair, it was Road to Formula and
That's true. A lot of them from the same teams, yes. Admittedly. But yeah, Valet a little quieter, but Joe Herlock, I think, can be quite talkative if he finishes on the podium and is in a good mood. And Maggio, of course, again, if he's in a good mood, he can talk for Italy. But but yeah, wow. 2 rounds in the books, 2 wins for Alex Lahou. I think he's proving once more a lot of people wrong this season. Like
Especially
Vincent
you.
alluded to. Well, yeah, well, me in particular with that season preview. Admittedly, I didn't have a lot of footage to work with of him, other than a
Doing
couple
well.
of brilliant pole laps. There was a lot of footage of him in difficulties and a couple of good overtakes as well. I do want to emphasize that those are in there. But yeah, it's going to be a different preview for next season, I think, based on how this one has started. But yeah, Alex Lahoo building the gap. Of course, Joe Herlock only finishing P4. Jack Mayer getting a few more points under his belt as well. Sandeep Singh is the next closest challenger in the championship, with 2 third places to his name. So I think it's like a 15, 20 point gap now for Alex Lahoo going into Japan. So difficult to see him, losing any momentum from here because he just keeps going from strength to strength to strength. And it doesn't seem like anything can knock him off his center, not even the walls here in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, and it did touch the walls, but I think that's all we have today for Saudi Arabia, and an interesting race it was. Anyway, for me, it is goodbye, and Ed?
Well, it's goodbye from me too.
Yeah.